until in your life start flirt. A warm sidewalk when you should never. Or I wash up your plate, or I wash your man shirt. The bag of friendship business now go work. You think it's me or your friend them? It's going to hurt when me get a wheel of your skirt. That now put 1 shilling in your purse. Better you baptize and go on in a church and pray to God and put him first. Girl,
living dangerously.
Well, girl, you're living too dangerous for me.
Living dangerously.
Well, if it is me, I got rent and leave it.
Living dangerously.
Girl, you're living too dangerous for we.
Dangerously.
WEFM is SVG.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so we are back with you for another segment of our Activated Mornings program here on WEFM. In studio, you have Dianna, Cain, and myself, Roleza Samuel, and this is the time when we get commentary from Mr. Kingsley De Freitas. So, Kingsley, you can go right ahead and call us at this time. All right, so Paige and Kingsley once, Paige and Kingsley twice. All right, so I guess if he's able to call, he will call us in a bit. All right, so we are going to head into another topic at this moment. And this is in relation to an article that I came across in the Vincentian newspaper last Friday. And it had me thinking, the contents of it had me thinking of, so it's an abused woman shows compassion for abuser in court. All right. So just want to read just a bit of it from the Vincentian newspaper. So apparently at the Kingston Magistrates Court on Wednesday, the defendant, Al Tyson, 34 years of Glen/Calder, pleaded guilty to assaulting his common-law wife, Colina Williams of Glen, causing her bodily harm, damaging a wooden bedroom door and a steel burglar barred gate, which together valued at $585, and the property of Williams, and damaging a laptop valued at $200 belonging to Williams's 15-year-old sister. All right, so at about 10:30 p.m. on the 13th of July, Williams was at home with her 15-year-old sister and 1-year-old niece when Tyson arrived. An argument ensued between him and Williams, during which he spat in her face. Williams left the room with her niece and went into another room, but Tyson followed her. The argument continued and he struck her. On hearing Williams' cries, the sister entered the room, picked up the baby, and returned to her own room. Tyson then punched Williams in her face, and when she attempted to leave the house to seek help, he proceeded to beat her with a cutlass and swung the weapon at her head. She managed to dodge it, and it struck and damaged 2 burglar bar gates. All right, so she was able to make her way to the police, and she reported the matter. Now, this is the part of it that is interesting or of more concern to me, right? So, to jail or not to jail? Williams told the court that to date, she cannot eat properly because of an injury to her gum, the result of the beating. She said it, as in the incident, took a toll on me, and she said, adding that she keeps jumping out of her sleep. She said she has to pay rent and other bills. Senior Magistrate Tamika McKenzie told the woman that Parliament has enacted legislation meant to protect people like her, not just from physical damage, but economic damage as well. The magistrate hinted that she could go to family court and ask for a protection order. You are an adult. You have the right to choose whether you want to be in this type of relationship, McKenzie told Williams. I don't know how to break up with him, Williams replied. You don't have to get permission from him to break up, Mackenzie told her. When the magistrate asked her whether she wanted Tyson to go to jail, she replied, I don't want him to go to jail because he has responsibilities. But the magistrate reminded the woman that there are plenty of people in prison with responsibilities. Williams then indicated that Tyson had a loan to pay, but when prosecutor Shamrock Pear asked her whether the loan was related to her, she said no. You love him? The magistrate asked the woman, who replied in the affirmative, which means she said yes. You have to love yourself more, Mackenzie told her, adding that Williams would have to decide what path she wanted to take from here, or the situation could have had a much more serious outcome. All right. Now, I know that there are many times when many of us on the outside are able to look at situations like this and wonder how much more does a woman have to go through in order for her to realize that the situation that she's in isn't the best, right? She reported the matter. It has come to court, but still she cannot make a decision in terms of the way forward, in terms of saying, I need to get rid of this man out of my life. And I'm not even judging her. If anybody's thinking that's the line that I'm going down, I'm not judging her. But it reminds me of how difficult it is for some of these women who have this emotional attachment. They've been in a common law relationship for 14 years. And I wonder how much more or what else is it going to take for them to realize that the situation that they're in is not the best, that the quote unquote love that you think that you have for this man is misguided, it is misplaced. So that is why I'm bringing it up, because it's one of those situations, again, that brings itself to the fore where domestic situations are so difficult domestic situations can possibly continuously happen because the woman don't see things through the eyes of the rest of us who are on the outside.
Unfortunately, some women like this don't ever realize the seriousness of the situation. Well, I can't really say they don't realize the seriousness of the situation, but they will never have that strength or that mind to leave, because we've seen many women just stay there until the guy eventually kills them. I think what she needs is help from somebody else. I was hoping that, in this particular day and age, with all that the knowledge that we have now, that the court would have some sort of person or some system or process in place for women like these, instead of allowing them to make decisions. Because by now we should know that it is not the easiest thing for women like this. Mm-hmm. She's probably already developed a trauma bond. I don't think it's the first time he's hitting her. Fear in the moment probably propelled her to run for help and all of that, but it seems that she'll go right back. She's not going to be the first, unfortunately. There are so many things in a relationship like this, the things that the men would say to you, how they would play on your mind and all of these other things. So in a situation like this, I think the experts should know that we need to get somebody to help the women, because they need conversation. They also need resources, because a lot of times people say, oh, leave this man, but the man is, you live in the man's house and the man is who is taking care of you, and when you leave, where do you go? Sometimes the same family members who encourage you to leave, they're not going to put you up, especially you're an adult and you have children, and even if some of them put you up, they're going to get fed up of you eventually and probably sometimes send the woman right back to the man. So there's a lot to think about. She would definitely need some help.
As you say that, I'm kind of curious as to whether or not, when these cases come to the court, if the women are, like how the men are fined or they're sentenced or whatever the case might be, if in the same vein, if women are assigned, let's say, a social worker, or if they're assigned to go to counseling. Like for me, it also should be mandatory that in the same vein, when you sentence the man, you also let this woman go through, let's say, a counseling period. It has to be mandatory, because unless maybe she is able to talk through her issues with, let's say, a therapist or a counselor, she may not understand. And to send her back, let's say, into the same home where the man is living, it doesn't help the situation, and I'm also having to consider the fact that her sister was also witness to this. Now, as a woman, I would not ever want to put, well, in my case, it would be a niece, right? I would not ever want to put any of my nieces in a situation where they see me being abused because I don't know what long term impact or effect it's going to have on them, right? Something as simple. And there's a thing that for me that kind of still, in a way, traumatizes me in a sense. Like to hear children crying from getting licks. It is one of those songs that I don't like to hear, right? So whenever it is that I hear a child being beaten, I get triggered. And the thing of it is that it's not even a case of, let's say it happened to me. I mean, I get licks before, but it's not a significant amount of licks, right? But let me just put that disclaimer for my mother. But just hearing the screams, right? And if that is triggering for me, imagine what is happening to a child who's growing up in an environment where their mother is constantly beaten, right? It is going to have a long-term effect on people who are in the situation itself. It's not just the woman who is getting the licks or getting the beaten, who's being abused, but it has implications on the effect for her children as well.
Yep.
All right, so we have a caller.
Caller gone.
Oh,
yeah. Another thing is the fear of the abuser. That's another real issue. Because I mean, she's even saying she's jumping out of her sleep and so on. So to me, that says that she has some sort of fear. I mean, some sort of trauma from the incident, but still some kind of fear. So.
And then it's also this whole dependency of, after a while, it's 14 years. And as you said, that I also don't believe that it's the first time that this has happened to her. I mean, to spit in my face. Listen. I mean, I probably should be laughing after the end of it, but listen. Nothing could be more degrading than to say that you're spitting. I don't even mind if you cuss me, but to spit in my face, nothing could be more degrading. But I have to, Dianna, stop close your eyes. All right, we have a caller. Dave, morning.
Nothing could be more degrading.
Hi, Dave. Good morning, Dave. Listen to the phone, Dave.
Nothing could be more degrading. But I have to,
Dave. Good heaven.
Hello.
Morning, Dave. Go right ahead.
Yes, you all dealing with some real interesting topics. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, you're dealing with issues that affect all of us. If we are not living, what should I say? How should I put it? Because we come into this world, we just don't take a good look, or we just don't examine ourselves properly. And, some of us just join the line and start to whine, so to speak. We don't raise, these issues you all are dealing with are fundamental, I remember early in this government administration, you see, I keep a lot of things. They brought somebody here from Trinidad to deliver a lecture. And I remember one of the things he said, well, he was a legal person too. He said the most problem in a society is from domestic, from our domestic situation, domestic violence. And that I could understand that. I can really understand that, because we come up come up in society through different ways and means and so on. Some of us have no good example. Some of us ain't live in a good home. And when I say that, I ain't looking at the concrete or whatever structure your home is. Your home has to have the right example. The example should be set in the home. And so and then when you think about single parent, I always look at that, where the mother. I hear, I don't think your mother ever beat you. When I used to look at her and how she's small, she neat like you. I'm talking about Roleza.
You don't think I forget it? Come home with a report book that's saying too talkative in class. Anyways. Those were the days.
I don't think you get licks to feel, so you can't call. Would you say
I got licks before, yeah, but it wasn't like a whole lot. But I got licks, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. I got some licks, but I was about to say you didn't get licks to feel. Maybe.
We're being like,
if the
Dave, no, we don't go down that road. Licks is licks,
if the man was there, I used to give him hell. You know, I could tell you that. I used to give him hell. Because anyhow, I don't want to go into that because the kind of conversation I had with your mother, I was very considerate about, and I couldn't believe it. But I am happy that I can hear her offspring as a young woman or a mature woman, never mind her size, can be speaking like this. You know, because having met you, having know who you are now and so on, there are a lot of things that you have to be aware of, you know, because if you're not physically strong as well, you can be taken advantage of if you get yourself involved. And I've known of cases like this. If you get yourself involved with the wrong man could break your bones easily if he's an abusive. And sometimes it's unfortunately some women look for a strong man. They say they want a muscular man. And next thing when the man start to beat them, what are you going to do? Huh?
At some point, this man had to go to sleep. That's all I'm going to say.
These are things we need to look at in society. Anyhow, this topic and these issues have been my concern as to why society is like how it is, how our society is not uplifting, except for a minority in our society. But I pray that people get sense in their heads. That's all I could say. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dave. All right. So I think we have some comments there.
Yeah. Somebody says it. I think this man should have been ordered to get. I don't know if it's a typo and they meant the woman, but I think this man should have been ordered to get serious mandatory counseling since she did not want to press. All
right, so maybe both of them. Let's say both of them should receive counseling as well. All right.
Somebody says the problem is that she thinks it will get better because of funds. She thinks she can't make it.
And I think that is one of the other things that I always look at as well. It's not just the emotional ties, but for many women, even for in a regular relationship ending where you don't even have like these sort of issues, but sometimes women just do not want a relationship to have to start over, right? We always look at starting over as being draining. So imagine if you found yourself in a situation where not only just being abused, but you've been in this relationship since forever. And there is this dependency on this man, this economic dependency. Some women don't want to leave to have to start over, but I will always say, so I was watching another documentary recently, right? And there was this lady who she did not want to leave the relationship because she also had an economic dependency on this gentleman. She did not want to have to start over. And I couldn't understand it because she could have done so. And for me, I've always said that if it ever comes down to it, I pray that I don't find myself in such a situation. I've always said that I pray that I'm continuing to be as headstrong and determined as back answering people and all that kind of stuff, you know. But this woman, though she was highly educated, she found herself in a situation where she was abused. She was subsequently killed. Mind you, her husband was a police officer, but that's a whole heap of stories behind it, right? And, you know, there are cries. Women sometimes make cries for help, but people don't listen to them. You know, they try to go to the police, but the police in that situation, his friends, they stood by him. They stuck up for him until the point that she was killed. And, you know, sometimes it's just, if it means that you have to leave with your child and you occupy a one-bedroom house and all of you sleep on this one mattress on the ground, women, I would always say, do it. It might be a rough start, but you have to do it. Think of your peace of mind. think of what it feels like when you leave a space that is filled with tension and filled with conflict.
Think of life.
True. Think of even your own physical safety and, being here to be able to see your children grow up. You have to put it all aside. Yes, it might be difficult in terms of finances and trying to provide for these children at the end of the month, but your children would have a lot more respect for you if they see that you have taken that step, that brave step to go forward and try to be on your own. All right. So, yeah.
Let's see, it's important to teach. It's really, really important for mothers and fathers, but I would say especially mothers, to empower your daughters, to fill as many things about women empowerment in your daughters' heads as possible, and teach your daughters that the fulfillment of their life is not dependent on a man's approval.
Boop, boop, boop,
Right?
boop. Clap, 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 clap. All the women everywhere, just start clapping.
Right. You need to really teach your daughters this. You need to teach your son some good values as well, because sometimes we try to put some things into our daughter's head to be the best woman possible. Stop telling your daughter about learn to wash or your
And
man
learn
go
to
beat
cook.
you and learn to cook or no man not go want you. So what? Why can't he learn to cook? You understand? Stop putting these things in your daughter's head. So sometimes that's why you find women get to a certain age, they're not married and they have so many accomplishments and they still feel so unfulfilled because they're not married. Sis! Hello, look at you, CEO, and you upset because a man didn't put a ring on your finger. Girl, you could buy your own ring.
And it's not just buying your own ring too, it's that feeling of I am not just going to settle for anything.
Exactly.
Right? It's your role as a woman, or where it is that you stand as a woman in this world, is not dependent on it's not dependent on having a man or who this man is, right? And it's not dependent on what society thinks. And this is why it has always be like, like I just made mention of back answering.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, parents, especially mothers, you cannot instill this fear in your child in terms of responding to you. You have to allow children to ask questions, because if you instill fear in them in terms of responding to questions, like why can't if my mother says something and I don't understand, what is wrong with me at telling my mother I don't understand?
Exactly.
Right? Because if you're going to try to shut me down, it means that, let's say a man gets into my life, I'm just going to accept everything that he says.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I'm not saying for us to quote unquote back answer or question people to be difficult. It has nothing to do with being difficult, but we also need to be able to be assertive and be able to stand up for ourselves, so it's a lot, folks. It's a lot. But I'm hoping that this woman, she would get the help that she needs. And I'm hoping that the friends or the support system around her would help her to realize that showing this level of compassion for this man is not going to help her situation. All right. And many of you might have friends and family members who are in a similar situation. So you have to be their support system. You have to take off the tint that they're seeing on their eyes, because they're not necessarily going to see it, but you have to keep talking to them. All right. And if where possible, show them the most graphic documentaries that you could come across of a woman who has been abused or who has been killed as a result of staying in a situation like that. Show them one of these type of documentaries so that maybe it could hammer home and hit home for them a little better. All right. So, yeah. All right, so we noticed that we were getting a few calls. So when we come into the next segment, we can take the calls at that time, all right? But we definitely have to head on out at this time, as it is 8:07, and our time check came to you with the compliments of New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a